On today's episode, we enter the classroom once again, this time for pitcher Marcus Stroman. We debut another new segment related to past Cubs drafts and best and worst of the week. Friday shows are always a good time. Join us.
Are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Cubs alongside Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We're lifelong fans taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. And pleased to be with you for a Friday episode that is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Well, Sam, we close out another week here on a fabulous Friday. I'm really feeling the alliteration here, and we usually have a great time. So let's keep that going.
Yeah, I thought you were going to kind of ask me how I'm doing or something.
I usually do, but then sometimes you tell me to get going.
Well, I have something today. I'm a little upset.
Okay, well, let's hear about it a little bit.
We're recording this at 6:10 Central Thursday evening. And I was supposed to be playing softball in a couple hours, but that got canceled because the fields that we play at drain slower than Franmil Reyes' first to third time. It rained just 48 hours ago, and the field's still not in playing condition. So I am going to have to be playing important playoff baseball around Christmas time.
No, that's an embarrassment.
It's a bit of an exaggeration. Thanksgiving.
It's an embarrassment to the city of Chicago.
Yeah, another embarrassment. Have you seen the field the Bears play on?
Yeah, I have. Thankfully, they'll be playing the Cowboys in Dallas this Sunday night.
It's going to be 9.5, courtesy of BetOnline, favoring the Cowboys and our buddy from Dallas.
Yeah, Michael.
Yeah.
Michael. And Dak Prescott has returned or no?
Yes, Dak Prescott will be playing quarterback for the Cowboys.
He has. Okay, very good. Well, a pitcher that played for the Cubs this season was Marcus Stroman, the right-hander, former Blue Jay and former Met. We are going to give him a grade. We're going to review his season a bit first, also take a look ahead for him for 2023 and possibly beyond. Marcus Stroman finished with what ERA, Sam? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I'll guess.
Please do.
3.58.
Wow, very close. 3.50 in 138 innings. He made 25 starts. Strikeout to walks, 119 to 36 with a 1.14 whip. Marcus Stroman did a lot of good things. I'm going to break down a very interesting split a little bit later. But for what he is, which was a fairly sizable free agent signing, by the way.
Sure.
That produced a lot of excitement, but also realizing that he's not an ace pitcher. He probably is somewhere in the 2 or 3 range, and also thinking about the time that he had off this season due to injury and otherwise. I came up with a B- for Marcus Stroman.
I remember I was in line at Zupa's getting a sandwich and a soup when the Cubs acquired him.
Fantastic.
I'm going to say, so when I was a kid, I used to get a lot of these borderline grades where they wouldn't give me one.
They wouldn't round up.
Yeah, so it'd be like a B+/A- or a C+/B. So I'm going to give him a C+/B-. Now, if he were to have the same exact year next year, but throws 165 innings, I think I would take it because it's a fine year. Why I grade why the C+ is there are too many blow up outings. When you're making $22 million a year, you shouldn't have 3 or 4 outings where you literally don't give the team a chance. The game's over after the first or second inning. and the fact that he got injured. But man, that second half of the year, he was so solid and so consistent that I do feel he believes he should get a B- shout. So I'm going to say C+, B-, pretty much exactly what I thought I was getting from Marcus Stroman. I would just love to see him stay healthy through the whole year, because that was a big reason why the Cubs invested in him, was he didn't really have much of an injury track record. And I expect him to stay healthy next year. And then if we could just avoid, instead of having the 2-3 inning, 8-9 earn run outing, turn that into like a 5 innings, 4 earn, I think everything will be exceptional.
Yeah, durability was a big hallmark for Stroman, really his whole career. You're not necessarily worried about that category moving forward, but he did miss all of June, excluding one start. Which was tough, because if you do think about how the season goes, and you mentioned about 30 more innings for next year, right? So that's probably 5 or 6 starts. That's a lot,
right?
Somewhere in the 4 to
and
6 start range.
Think COVID played a part in it. So yeah, I mean, Marcus Stroman's the type of guy.
It was unfortunate.
You want him in the mid to low threes with his ERA, getting a lot of ground balls and pitching in big games. And if he does that, then that C+, B- will jump up to a B+ A- pretty quickly.
So listen to these ERAs by month for Stroman.
Bad April.
Unless you want to guess them.
So he had a really bad April.
6.98.
He didn't really pitch in June.
He didn't pitch in June. He pitched one start. That was.
I would assume May was good.
1.50.
Yeah, and then I know August and September were pretty solid. I don't recall. Well, I'm trying to think when he had that bad start against the Cardinals. That was July, right?
I'm not sure, because what I have in front of me, Sam.
Yeah.
Has July at 0.89.
Well, then it wasn't July.
I think it was August, because that's 3.97, and then September, October, 2.19.
So really, he had a bad month of April.
He did. He had an awful start to the season, and he really leveled out to the point of dominating in the summer. And then he finished the season strong as well. It floated a little bit there in August. I think it was August, Sam, for the Cardinals.
No, the Cardinals start was June 3rd, the only start he made.
That was his only start in June. Yeah.
4 innings, 10 hits, 9 earned runs that afternoon at Wrigley.
I was at one of his starts in August. That left a lot to be desired. So the close to 4 ERA makes sense there.
And then the other thing with him too is he had a lot he had a really good month of August, but 2 starts where he went 4 innings. Because they were easing him in. I want him going 6. I want him going deep.
I wanted to get into that. So you think 6+ for him?
Yeah, when he's stretched out and feeling good. And in Stroman's defense, we look at his season in April worse than it should, because that was when the Cubs, we thought, had a chance to compete. And then when he started pitching well, the games didn't mean that much. If he has another bad April, I think this team will be good enough to stomach that. And then when he starts to recover, it'll really be meaningful for the Cubs, right?
Right, and you hope that he doesn't. That they don't need to, pillow that he actually pitches well right off the bat. What do you expect starters to go in this day and age in baseball? Because they're really only going 5.
Yeah, but I think if you're making $20+ million, you should be expected to get 18 outs every time you step on the mound.
Right. No, and I agree with you.
At least.
Stroman is a unique pitcher right now, because he's not a high velo guy. He allows plenty of contact, which is okay. I fully believe as a coach, there's an art to pitching, and there's definitely an art to what he does. He has some swagger, of course, that you like to see as well. Bulldog
but he does
mentality.
Have good stuff.
He does, yeah.
It's just in the zone. It's contact stuff. When he's working well, the ball's hitting all over the diamond on the ground weakly to the left or right side.
So would you peg Stroman as a number 2 or number 3?
Yeah, I think in an ideal world,
because I would even say he could be a number 4.
Yeah, I think that's a bit strong.
It's a stretch, right?
Yeah.
But it depends on additions.
Of course. Ideally, you go out, you sign a number 1, and maybe Steele jumps him as the 2.
Player
but
X, right?
But I don't think I think you could overreact to that stuff a little bit. What if you have What if you have a really good 4-5? What if Kyle Hendricks next year is 16-8 with a 3.38 in the
Oh,
4 slot?
oh, don't do me like that.
Yeah, don't
Oh,
don't worry about
dang. You just went there on a Friday?
don't worry about those numbers, because in 2016 you had 3 elite guys.
Right. Right.
And in this day and age, you need 3 elite guys. The question is, can he be one of those elite guys? I say yes.
How important is Marcus Stroman to the 2023 Cubs?
Really important, to the point where I would say if he stinks, that would pretty much ruin everything.
Wow.
How's that?
Wow, that's a great take.
Listen, any guy on any pitcher on a team making 22, 23 M's a year better be important to your success. That's why you invest in it. Just like this guy that they signed upcoming, this pitcher is going to be important. Those guys have to perform and stay healthy, or everything trickles down. Now, they have a lot of starting pitching depth, so they probably can stomach a little injury or a little hiccup here and there. It's not Alec Mills or Swarmer running out there anymore. But Marcus Stroman's an important piece to the Cubs. I think he'll be better when it matters more. I think he's going to be a fun guy to watch pitch in October at Wrigley Field. That's what he's here to do.
That's great. Yeah, no, that's a fantastic way to wrap that. And I think he's vitally important, and see where he slots in. I think and visualize the NLDS or the NLCS. What could that look like? And it's fun to picture that. I think he's beyond capable of being on that stage. And depending on what they do in the offseason, or not depending on it, he can't be nowhere near close, those numbers for April, because this team needs to get off to a good start. This
Right.
team needs to show who's boss in this division, this crappy division. And if he proves that he can be a firm number 2, then that's great. And if he's actually slotted in beyond that, then that means the Cubs are having a really good season with a lot of good individual seasons as well.
Yeah, and before we move on, I'd like to just break some news quickly. The rumor mill is heating up with Brandon Nimmo to the Rockies.
Really?
Yeah. So another deal for Colorado to get them nowhere.
Right. And when the World Series ends is when the hot stove officially begins. We'll stay all on top of that right here. All right. Well, thanks for piping in the breaking news. I wish we had a sounder for that, but
Yeah, it'd be fun, like the radio.
Yes. Coming up next, we debut Did You Know? With some Cubs drafts back in the day. We'll explain that and have some fun coming up right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by Bet Online. BetOnline.net is your number one source for football betting and the start of basketball season. What's the Illinois line on Saturday?
That's going to be Illinois minus 7.5 on the road in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information, with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Welcome back into Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We debuted a new segment on Thursday's program. If you haven't heard that yet,
what a hit.
Please go back and take a look at that. That's called 0 to 100. That's a Sam Olber idea and a Matt Cozy name. Okay, so that worked out very nicely the first time. We had fun doing that, and we'll take some questions for future 0 to 100s, right?
Yeah, let's keep going.
Okay. So did you know, Sam, related to Cubs drafts, as we take a look at some history here, so I have 20.
Going, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, let's just keep it moving. You know what I'm saying?
I have 20 total drafts that we're going to take a look at. Not today. We're going to spread these out.
I'm not familiar with this. This is a Matthew Cozy invention.
Okay. So,
I'm going to be taught this on the go, just like our listeners.
Right. And thanks for spelling that out. So Looking back at Cubs drafts from 2000 through 2019 is a total of 20 drafts.
Yeah, you could clean
A
yourself
total
up.
of 20 drafts, okay?
Yes.
And we're going to start with the year 2000 and then go from there. And so it's a did you know or do you remember or how do you remember this person, because the twist
Yeah, what's the purpose?
is that we're going to introduce someone from these drafts that the Cubs picked and do some reminiscing
Okay,
and do a
cool.
little bit of a dive on those players. Now,
Awesome.
all of these players, though, didn't sign with the Cubs, which brings up some interesting names. Hence, did you know? Because there's some names that I didn't even know until I did some homework the last couple days.
All right, hit me, baby.
Okay, so the 2000 draft, the Cubs selected in the 8th round left-handed pitcher Dontrell Willis.
Wow, did know that. That's
He
what I'm supposed to say, right?
Yes, you did
Oh,
know that.
yeah.
He did sign with the Cubs. Willis did not pitch the D train. Did not pitch in the red and blue. Instead, he was traded with. I can't believe these names. He was in a big trade. He was
I
actually
know.
in a big trade twice later
Yeah.
in his career as well.
Yeah.
But from the Cubs to the Marlins, he was traded with Ryan Jorgensen, Julio Tavares, and minor leaguer Jose Cueto to the Marlins for, do you remember? 2 pitchers, one a starter, one a reliever. Chinbeard.
What was the year on this?
The trade happened in 02.
Matt Clement.
Yes. Matt Clemente and a relief pitcher.
Alfonseca? No.
Yes.
It was? Okay, cool.
Clement and Alfonseca. Willis pitched 5 years for the Marlins. He was an all-star as a rookie in 03.
And he pitched against us in the 2003 National League Championship Series. Now, I don't remember, and I could be wrong. I don't know if you have this in front of you. I don't know if he pitched really that well in that series. That series was Josh Beckett's. He really shoved against us.
Yeah, well, you have a great memory of that. I don't have that in front of me.
I believe he came out of the bullpen in Game 7 of that series on like 2 days rest and pitched like 3 or 4 shutout innings.
Yeah, no, he was a monster.
Yeah,
right out of the gate. In 05, Dontrell Willis won 22 games.
yeah, and now he does a nice job over on Fox. I think he does, and I think he does some Dodgers TV.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
He's great at television. Later in his career, he was also a part of another major trade. Some considered one of the biggest until the Juan Soto deal this past summer, actually, that sent him and Miguel Cabrera
Miggy.
to the Detroit Tigers.
Right.
All right, so a little blast from the past right there.
Oh, that's it. That's it. So we do one nugget from each draft.
Yeah, it's just going to be one guy. I think.
That was great. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
That's really. I don't want to I don't want to know anymore because I want to come in here fresh as could be. So I test my memory. I like how I did there.
Yeah. I don't want to screen the year either for you. I don't want you poking around. I just want to go off the encyclopedia. Bro.
Yeah, and I think it might even be more fun so our audience doesn't think we're all cheating. Maybe don't go in order.
Okay, so next time we do this, you're going to pick. Maybe you pick the year?
No, because if I pick the year, then maybe I studied for it. I don't want to study for it.
So I'll pick it out of a hat.
Do you have nuggets from? Excuse me, I don't know what's going on. Do you have nuggets from every draft already?
I'm really close. I'm like through 2012 right now.
That's cool. Awesome. I can't wait to hear about Brett Jackson.
Oh, whoa, easy.
Josh Vitter.
Oh, wow. Don't spoil anything.
Corey Patterson.
Hey, coming up next is best and worst of the week right after this. We're back here on Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We have debuted a few new segments this week, Sam. We are going to do an older one now, best and worst, one of our favorites.
An older creation.
And here's another fresh thing that I didn't tell Sam. We're going to debut another new segment this week called How Much Would It Take?
Oh, man. We did that on our old program. Okay,
time.
man.
It's time.
That's
It's-
awesome.
Yeah, I'm
trying to think
looking
how we
forward to
twist that into like Cubs stuff. Like, how much would it take for you to buy a ticket to go watch this team play these days?
that. Yeah, no, there's all sorts of questions out there.
Yeah, sure.
So my best of the week is I love a good story, right? I'm a sucker for a story, and
Sure.
the Bryce Harper home run to
Really?
send the Phillies to the World Series. I saw that live. That was incredible. And Joe Davis of Fox had almost an even better call. If the hit
It
wasn't
was
a legendary
a
hit,
great call by
boy,
Joe
Joe Davis served that right.
And people say,
I
I'm
really
sorry to
enjoyed
cut
it.
you, sorry to cut you off, but people wondered, why the Dodgers this, and that. Look at the play-by-play guy they got to replace Vince Scully. You want to talk about a star?
He is.
A
He is a
star in the business.
And the World Series starts 7:03 p.m. Central Standard on Friday night, as it's going to be Phillies and Astros.
So I actually was wrestling between two bests for a change, so I'm going to give it to you both really
good.
quickly. The first one was obvious. I'm really in a good place right now with my sports teams. The Bears Monday night had their best performance in years. Okay. Illinois football, I don't know what's going on there, but I'm on the bandwagon. Excited for Illinois basketball. Those of our listeners on the show don't know my favorite athlete is Lionel Messi, a soccer player. He's in top form heading into the World Cup, his last major tournament. But I'm not going to use that.
Oh.
My best of the week was the magician, Matthew Cozy, at our buddy Nick's housewarming party. He's going to be mad that I said our buddy. My best friend Nick's housewarming party, your cousin. For those that don't know, Matt has a couple of magic tricks. I've seen him a billion times. I'm kind of tired of it. But man, the way you perform the trick, I put it on Instagram. It's really a fun theater. We had, I would say there were probably about 15 people in the kitchen, maybe even 20, surrounding the area watching you do the trick. You were doing it for a 5-year-old. It was fun. It's just one thing I really hope that we get to with this show at some point, and I know that you want this too, so I don't want to get you too excited. You might jump out of your seat, is to get us in front of a live audience because, man, I obviously, am fine with that. And then yourself, man, you really know how to put on a show, and it was enjoyable. And, I ate a lot that night.
Thank you so much for having me as the best of the week. And I would love to do a live show.
And
I would love ideas for that.
It's the only time. It's the only time you and
I enjoy it.
It's the only time you and Messi will ever be mentioned in my same sentence coming out of my mouth. Let me tell you.
Oh, that's great stuff. Might have to clip that.
Worst
of the week is, and I know we start early, right? We have one of the earliest start times in the state school system here in Illinois. But I had to scrape ice off my car this morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you're up at the crack
October
of dawn
27th.
because it's the temperature's fine.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there was frost this morning, which caused, I guess, the cars to freeze up as well. But it was very unexpected. I was hoping for maybe a couple more weeks of that.
My worst, I don't get up early enough to do that. My worst is my cardio. I really try and keep myself in good physical shape. I try and go for a run 3-4 times a week. And man, I just took a couple of weeks off almost unintentionally. And I went for a run this afternoon. It took, I couldn't even go 20 minutes. I made it 17 minutes, and then it took me that long to feel normal again. I turned 29 in a few days, and it's sad, the level of shape that I'm in. I used to be a really good athlete, believe it or not. I used to be able to get up and down the court. I used to be able to play 25, 30 minutes a night, and now I'm running around the block limping, gasping for air like I'm in a home.
We had a lot of fun this week. I don't think there was much to follow up on there. I was just going to let it live.
Yeah, I mean, just ignore everything I said. What else is new? Why don't you have somebody else on the show?
I have no desire to have anybody else.
Yeah, well, by the way, don't forget, I might not be able to record November 14th, jury duty.
I did forget about that.
Monday, November 4th. I mean, I don't know how that works. What if I have a serious case? I'm an American.
That might be all day.
Yeah, it could be all week.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button for Locked On Cubs on YouTube and Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your pods. On the audio side, drop us a text, 312-834-4634. Thanks for making Locked On Cubs your first listen every day. Now make your second the Locked On Sports Today podcast. Locked On Sports Today is our 22-minute recap of the previous night in sports. It features local experts on each of the big stories, as well as the take of the day from one of the Locked On hosts. Everybody have a great weekend. We're back next week with more. For Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.